Wax on, wax off. Rush. Catch! Catch!
Really? Hi, I'm Luke. Welcome to Strike Q. A couple of days ago, I watched a video from Karate by Jesse. He's got a lot of great content, so you should definitely check out his channel if you haven't already. And in this particular video, he talked about how there are sort of hidden techniques in katas, the traditional forms of karate. And he talked about how a forearm block can actually be interpreted as a sort of takedown defense, where you put your forearm against the opponent's collarbone, neck, shoulder area. And that is a good takedown defense technique that you learn in all sorts of martial art dealing with takedowns. And he sort of made the point that a lot of the techniques in traditional forms are misinterpreted and can actually be other techniques than what they appear to be to us. I think that sentiment makes a lot of sense, and I've thought about it a lot before. It seems to me, at least, that a lot of the information in traditional forms have gotten lost in translation, just misunderstood throughout the years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the original function of forms was to preserve knowledge, preserve teachings, and to instruct people on how to do certain techniques within a martial art. The thing is, we got YouTube now. There are lots of videos that will teach you stuff. There are lots of instructions available online. So if you want to get better at punching, or if you want to get better takedown defense techniques, you're probably better off just watching a fight tips video than training kata. I think while that is true, it can be helpful to practice a movement set over and over again the way that you do in forms. I just think that context is key here. If we think about the famous Karate Kid scene where he trains to wax a car, wax on, wax off, and then someone tries to punch him and he can instantly block that punch with the same technique that he used to wax the car. And we all know that it doesn't work that way because you haven't trained in the correct context. To truly learn something and to know how to apply it, you need to build connections within your brain. So first of all, you need to know what you're doing, you need to know how you do it. And wax on, wax off can sort of help with that, because you learn how to do the movement. And once you learn that it is used as a block or a takedown defense, then you have the what and how down. But you're still lacking the when, and I think that's really important, because if you don't know when to do it, you haven't trained in the appropriate context, you don't really know how to do it, you don't know how to apply it. And even though, say it did work, I still think you're training it wrong. When you're doing traditional forms in most martial art, you're training in a different way than you would actually use when you apply it. You train with your hand on your hip. You're usually quite stiff, at least at the end of techniques, and you're using pretty wide movements. And that's not how you would use it in practical situation. You need to loosen up, you need to do a smaller movement and forget the hand on the hip as a standard, at least, even if you're pulling in things and stuff like that. So I think you don't really have the when, because you're not training context. You don't really have the how either, because you're training it wrong. And when talking about sort of hidden techniques, since you don't know that it is a takedown defense you're even lacking what you're doing. So if all the what, how, when, you have none of those. I think it's my personal opinion, but training traditional forms, believing that it will give you knowledge that makes you a better fighter, it's mostly just wishful thinking. I think it's not a practical way of teaching yourself how to become a better fighter. And if you enjoy doing forms, you should keep doing them, because there's nothing wrong with doing what you enjoy. I just think there are better ways to train if you want to train well. Forms, I think, are only really good at teaching you how to do forms. Training forms only makes you better at training forms. Not much else. I don't know, what do you think? Leave a comment down below. Hope I see you in the next video, and thank you for watching.